Welcome back to the Corporate Rejects podcast, and welcome if this is your first time listening in. I am your show host, Amanda Davila, and I am excited to continue to provide support and empowerment through your journey to entrepreneurship. Welcome to the Corporate Rejects podcast. This is Amanda Davila, and I am here live with Renee Hribar, sales strategist. I'll let her introduce herself in a moment. If you're not familiar with me and Corporate Rejects was developed to really embody the feeling of being a mom and wanting more in your life and taking charge and doing it. So I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited that you are in that place where you are moving forward. And anywho, I don't know where that came from. Okay. So if we haven't met yet, I'm Amanda Davila. I am an entrepreneur and business growth strategist. I focus on systems, processes, moving online business owners into the place of becoming the CEO and really moving their company forward to multi-six figures to seven figures and beyond. I bring in critical thinking experience as a nurse and into my business strategy experience and as an online business manager, helping large businesses create their systems and processes. So that's a little bit about me. And now I want to introduce you to Renee Hribar. Welcome to the show, Renee.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'm so excited to learn more about what you do and how your business runs and how you work with clients. So first of all, introduce yourself, a little bit about you and how you got started where you're at now.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I've been in sales forever, since 1994 in the streets of New York. Right after I graduated from university, I was taking the summer to make some money, and I was planning on going to law school. But within 3 months, I was making so much. I was making more than I would have made had I gone to law school and graduated. So I deferred my entrance, thinking, well, I'll just see how this goes. I'll give it a year, see where it goes. And within that year, I helped open up an office in Atlanta. I was traveling. I was loving it. And I was making great money. And they gave me an opportunity to really like plant my flag. And right then and there, I was working for a telecom company. Right then and there, the telecom boom happened, like where AT&T was buying out SBC and Bell South and all the baby bells. Deregulation was happening. It used to be where you might have to dial a 1 to call across the street and not a 1 to dial the next county. But all that to say, for someone who's not like, I don't know how old you were at the time. I was only 23, so I'm pretty sure that there are people listening. They're like, what are you talking about? Dial a 1? We have cell phones. But this is back in the day when there were busy tones and like no caller ID. People had answering machines, like, watch like You've Got Mail. And that's pretty much where I was at. So myself and the sales teams that I was hiring, training, and managing were going out to small to medium-sized businesses on behalf of AT&T, and they were my client. And so that's what really got me into sales. And I made great money. I was traveling. I was loving it. And I really was investing a ton of time into learning leadership because they were giving me opportunities to grow. And from there, I continued to train, develop, and manage salespeople. I then purchased a territory and then sold the territory and then became a yoga teacher because I was so burned out from working 90-hour work weeks and, chasing the cheddar in my 20s and early 30s. And from there, I found 2 amazing scientists that were my students in my yoga class. And they had this cherry juice drink. And I live in Michigan now, although I'm a New Yorker. And they had this great drink. They used to say that this is so good. It's so healthy for people. It's so good. It's so amazing, but we don't know how to sell it. And I was like, what? Damn it. I know how to do that. And I was like, well, I mean, I can tell you. I'll just tell you. And then no matter what I said, they were just like, I don't know. So I was like, well, let me just consult you. I'll create a consulting agreement and I'll just consult you. Okay. Like officially I'll draw a timeline. I'll give you scripts and I'll point your little nose in the right direction and then you go do it. And they were just like, okay. And it still didn't work. They're like, I called and I talked to them, but it didn't work. I was like, I'm going to do it for you. Fine. So that's when they brought me in as a partner. And I got the cherry juice into 180 grocery stores in less than 18 months. And we brought it to the Jacob Javits Center, which is like the big North American food show. And I sold the bleep out of it. And then we came and we sold the POs, the purchase orders, to our competition because we were in no way, shape, or form prepared to deliver on the goods. Because there's a lot of things you have to do, like there's bottling. I mean, the bottle, the product, we only had one factory, and it was they made vodka. They didn't really make cherry juice, so we were in there, not even kidding you, hand bottling this by the vat. So we just weren't, and hand rolling the labels. I mean, so when I say it was made in small batches, we weren't kidding. But cherry juice is very healthy for you, and our competitor was happy, and we were happy, and all three of us sold. And I spent 5 years as mommy. At that moment, I found out I was pregnant with my child, who now is 10. Whatever. I don't know how that happened. So I found out I was pregnant with him, and it was perfect timing, like universal timing. And for the first 5 years, I literally was a stay-at-home mom. But every single person that I know, that I still know, that I knew during that time was like, you need to do more with your time. They were like, you're driving us nuts. Like, how many playdates can you, I'm like, how many playdates can I organize? How many mom groups can I organize? We're all going to do fun stuff. Let's go get together. So I am always, I'm me, no matter what I do for a living or not a living. Like my child was on like 24 planes before he was 2. I'm like, travel, organizing people, leading people, loving people. This is who I am. So I kind of took that and owned it. And when I came into the online space, I found there were lots of people to hang out with and do that with. So I started consulting first, just like 5 hours a week. And then I found a really big need for this one little piece that I'm extremely good at, which is how that I call it like hand-to-hand combat, like that handoff between all the marketing that we do in our businesses online and actually making money. There's this, I do a lot of marketing and I hope people find me because I'm good. And then it's like, but I'm not making sales. What's happening? So like their marketing is good and they blame their marketing, but really it's this little bridge between the marketing and the actual delivery of the service. And that's where I can come into play. So I've created courses and programs and masterminds, and I work more than 5 hours a week now. This is a full-time gig, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I'm looking for more and more ways to continue to reach and grow to new people that were maybe in my position a couple of years ago. Maybe they're crying on their steering wheel. Maybe they're just wondering, like, how do I do this? How do I make it work? So when you had this corporate reject saying, it's how moms make it work, I'm like, that's me. So thank you for having me on the show.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You just said so many amazing things. And I'm so excited to learn more about it. So you are the ultimate corporate reject.
Totally.
You did the thing, like tattoo on your forehead, because you did all the corporate. You've been there, done that. And then you started with a smaller business, moving them into an amazing place.
Yeah.
And then you got to be a mom and you got to have that time to be with your son. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. And then now you came to the online world. Like, how incredible is that? And like, that is what lights me up, is helping moms move from being, whether they're working in corporate, they're staying at home, they're working retail, whatever it is they're doing, moving them to a place where they can have their own online business and be there with their kids. Even if they still have to work, they can be home with their kids. They can be flexible. They can homeschool if they need to. They can take them to their doctor's appointments. They can decide to travel when they want to. Like, that is what absolutely lights me up. So oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then also I help people in that same way, just from a different standpoint. So you help them with the sales part. That's how I met you, because I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to talk to people to sell and to share my services, because ultimately that's why we're doing this, is because we want to share and help other people. Yes. So that's when I met you, and my world has changed since then. It's incredible. And now not only am I bringing people from the outside world, to the online space, I'm helping other business owners who are like us, who put something together, threw it together. They're having success, but they don't know what to do, and they can't grow until they learn the next pieces, until they put the systems and processes in place, until they start building their team and they learn how to sell, all the different pieces, and then moving them up into those bigger businesses, making multi-6 figures, 7 figures and beyond. Like, it's beautiful, just the synergy between all of it, and like where we all started. People ask me all the time, you're a nurse? Like, how did you end up doing business strategy? Like, why are you creating systems and processes for corporations? Like, how did that happen? But when you have the will and the drive, you make it happen. I wanted to be home with
Absolutely.
my baby, and I wanted to travel, and I wanted to move to Hawaii. So I made it happen. That's how.
Exactly.
So,
And
okay.
there's lots of rollover skill sets too. I mean, from knowing you, of course, I'm speaking from experience because I know you.
Yes, absolutely. So when you started your online business and really working with other women online,
Yeah.
how from there doing everything yourself, how is your business structured now?
Yeah. Very different. And when I first came online, I realized there was this whole economy on Facebook. I had no idea. I was like, people are really buying and selling things. Like, really? And like, no, really, they really are. It's a really exciting and interesting economy. So all that to say, I was like, well, I'm just going to work a little. Like I said, it was literally like I'm just going to consult on the side, a couple hours a week, side gig. I didn't really need a team. I didn't want a team. I'd already been to the mountain, right? I already had the office. I already had 300 employees. I already had 5 locations. I'd already done that, and I was like, definitely don't want to do that. So when I came on, I was like, okay, I can do a little bit of, marketing and get a little bit of clients and do a little bit of delivery. And then I realized that there was a massive opportunity for working with people around the globe any time of day I wanted. And that it was my moral obligation to continue to reach out to people because I saw the need. So I knew at that point, probably at a year in, and again, this is me working 5 hours a week, very limited marketing. I was just on Facebook. I didn't have an email list, like 8 people maybe. Because I was like, I mean, my email list was like in my Gmail. I was like, yeah, I've got an email list. I Gmail them, but it's not an email list, as we know now. But all that to say, like, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't have a landing page or a freebie or an email sequence, any of that. But I knew that I wanted to connect with people, so I had a free Facebook group. And about a year in, I was like, you know what, I can actually do more than this. And so at that point, I realized I can't do this alone. So I hired my first contractor. It was very strange because I'd only ever hired people in person, ever. So to not meet somebody, it freaked me out. So I actually ended up hiring, and I know that you know this story. I hired somebody who knew a friend of a friend, right? Who came in, did a couple of the tasks, managed the Facebook group, managed this, posted some things for me. And she works a couple hours a week for me, but it was great. But ultimately, then she grew and she actually took a lot of license. She got into the online space. She's like, oh, wait, hold on a second here. There's amazingness. And so I ended up coaching her, and then she became like an OBM. And I'm like, I don't need an OBM because it's just me. So she went off and did other things. And then I ended up hiring one of my clients who was a health coach, but didn't want to be a health coach anymore. Said, I'd rather just do your social media. I'm like, okay. So I worked with her for about 18 months. And then I realized, okay, well, we need more people on the team because we're growing. And it doesn't happen gradually. I mean, I think the idea happens gradually, but the need is like, it's like a bamboo tree, like the roots. And then the need is like, I need it now. I need it now. I need it yesterday. But slow to hire, fast to fire. I ended up putting feelers out, connecting with people, reaching out to my existing network from my former corporate environment, as well as people that I knew in the professional industry. And I found a great team of 3 people that I went through an interview process and had them fill out an application and did an interview online and gave them a test project. And again, just very foreign. And you really walked me through a lot of this, Amanda. So thank you. Just how to capture what I was doing, get it out of my brain and give it to them so that I didn't have to, because I couldn't manage them on a moment to moment basis because we weren't in the same room or the same office, right? I was at my house in my office and they were at their house on their kitchen table or wherever they were, their couch. They were on their laptop. So this process was very different. So I guess that's to answer your question. It was slow and it was rocky and it could have been a lot faster had I made the decision faster. But what was holding me back was initially like the mindset, like, I don't want to hire a team. And then it was, I don't know how to hire a team. And then it was, if I hire a team, who's going to train them? And so working with you really helped me move that needle forward. And now I can say I love my team and we're growing, we're hiring. We just hired another person this week. And so, yeah, we're expecting to have 2 more hires by the next 2 months.
Wow, that's really exciting. So you have a lot of growth going on right now. That's
A
incredible.
lot of growth going on right now. Yes,
Yeah,
a lot of very exciting projects.
Yeah,
in the
since we
works.
started working together in Outsource Like a Boss and CEO Mastermind a few months back. Like, man, it's a lot. And that's one of the reasons, I mean, that's the reason that I created Outsource Like a Boss, because I talk to smart business women like you every single day, and they say the same things. They have the same issues. And I remember having that same feeling when I came to the online space. I hired, interviewed, hired, managed, and fired people for years in the nursing world, in large medical office. So I've done it in person. And when you come online, I was really scared. Like, what's that going to be like? How am I going to know? But the cool thing with technology now, like, we're sitting here face to face having a conversation just like we were in the same office. I can't hug you. I can't, smell your perfume, but you can still get that same feeling, the same vibe, that same type of relationship online. Like, some of the absolute most amazing people I've met and I keep close to me, I met in the online world. So it's beautiful. This episode of Corporate Rejects is sponsored by Outsource Like a Boss. Get tasks out of your head and off of your plate. Outsource Like a Boss is my no BS program guiding business owners through the process of figuring out where they're spending their time each day and outsourcing the tasks. You can start gaining back 10 plus hours per week right away. I absolutely love this program, and I have dozens and dozens of other business owners who have already gone through it and are absolutely loving it and enjoying their life as an entrepreneur more because they now know how to outsource like a boss. I give you all of the scripts and templates and the exact process that I use to interview, hire, manage, and fire many, many, many employees over the years. Go to outsourcelikeaboss.com or click the link in the show notes. So I love the way that you are growing your business and the structure. It's similar in the way that corporate was, that, you're here, like, you're up at the top, you're the CEO, and then everything starts trickling down just like at corporate, but you don't have that stuffy corporate feel, and you don't have all of the things holding you back and making you miserable, like horrible, no maternity leave, or horrible working conditions, uncomfortable desks and chairs, missing out on your kids, events, sports, all doctor's appointments, all of those things, and then trying to cram one vacation a year into 1 or 2 weeks. And then you're working yourself to death the rest of the year. Like, that's just not conducive to being a mom. It's miserable. So I love that you got out of that and your story about moving through all the different places to where you're at now. And you have an amazing business and team. So that is amazing. So what do you call yourself now? What's your title?
Yeah. Publicly to the world, I am a sales strategist, which just means I help people strategize how to go from all the marketing to making money and delivering it. But yes, I am. I mean, in terms of like internally, I'm just one of the team. We all have our own roles. Like, we've worked hard on creating our mission statement together. We've worked hard on creating our core values, and our core values aren't public, but the public should feel them, right? So, like, internally, we know what's important to our company. And even though our company is only 4 or 5 people right now, we're still really at a seed level. What's important to our company, our customers, our audience should feel it. And I say like, it's us. We all take ownership. And then our vision is big. We have a vision of supporting over 100,000 women between now and 2025. So it's a big, hairy goal. But I always just think of Apple, right? 1980 something, they were like, there's going to be a computer on every desk in the next 10 years. And there was. But at the time when they said that, a computer wouldn't even fit in the room. So we don't have to know how. We just know that that's our goal.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I've been doing a lot of work with the vivid visioning for the next 3 years, and it's incredible. It definitely is a big mindset shift. So, working in corporate, you had a title. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah. Well, I was a salesperson first, and then I was a regional manager, and then I was a regional director, and then territory owner. So kind of like set up like a State Farm. It was an ISO, independent sales organization. So I had my clients, and then I had my employees, and I was responsible. I had to pay my office. I had to, my name was on the lease. I was the owner of the business, but I was able to get clients like Intuit, which owns QuickBooks, and Quill, because of my relationship with a bigger company.
Okay. So again, you're the perfect example of someone who took what you were doing in the corporate world and you moved it to the online space. I talk to people a lot that don't understand how their real world corporate experience can translate into the online space. And that's exactly what I teach people on my other program, which teaches moms how to move from corporate to an online business, doing your own thing. And I have a special process that they go through to start extracting all of those skills they have that they don't even realize are marketable skills. And they're able to build a business online and have that freedom. So, and same thing with me, like going from nursing, no one understands, but that's part of my strategic process of moving your mindset from, oh, I'm doing that here, now I can move over here and do that and not have all the horrible corporate policies that don't work for me. So right. I love that. So, you started as a salesperson, just like when I was 18 and I started as medical records coordinator.
Right.
Like it sounded fancy when I was 18, but now, I'm like, oh, I had like the lowest job in the, building.
Oh, yeah. I was the lowly of the low. I was below the secretary. I had to get the bathroom key from her.
So yeah, it's beautiful just how we start, you take wherever you started and you blossom and you move to the different levels, and you can take that and move to the online space. So I can't even think of a job that you couldn't
translate
into the online space, especially just
so many skills. Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay. So my next question for you is, when someone ends up on your website and they are purchasing one of your programs, a course, some sort of digital product, what does that process look like for the client? Like from the client side, what does that look like?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty streamlined. They usually watch, if they're buying something from my website, they've watched some sort of webinar, video sales letter, or some sort of video, and then they've read some material about what they're going to get, like a sales page, and then they've clicked to an order form, and then they get an email that gives them access to whatever they purchased. And then they get a succession of emails inviting them to the next thing.
Okay. And then, so what does it look like from the back end?
Yeah. So there is someone that has a daily responsibility of checking those connectivity pieces. So there's zaps. I mean, I feel like on the back end, it's like duct tape and spit, but it really is, it's not what it is. It just feels like that to me because I'm not a technically savvy person, in my opinion. So, from the order form back end, it is in ClickFunnels, and they pay in ClickFunnels, and then they get zapped to ActiveCampaign, which zaps them to Teachable, which then that then activates their enrollment and in email. And then we also, once that is set, we also have someone in charge of the soft skills. So someone that sends out a card and makes sure that I know that they're as a new student, and then I reach out to that person personally, or someone on my team does as me, but mostly it's me.
That is amazing. I love that you have that extra personal touch, even though you have everything automated, so you don't have to. So I think that's a really good segue because, okay, all these things are set up to automate so people get your program. But for you, it doesn't stop there. You add that touch, you reach out. And can you explain a little bit more about why you personally reach out to them?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Well, I mean, I was a heart and soul salesperson, which means I know the value of a relationship. Life, and if you're speaking in like data terms, it's like LCV, like lifetime customer value. Right now in my online business that I started in 2017, my lifetime customer value average is over $12,000.
Wow. That's incredible.
Average of lifetime customer value. That means I don't need a lot of customers. I just need the right people. And those right people feel seen, heard, and they are seen and heard and understood. So I used to do all that by hand. I didn't have any automations at first, but knowing the value of a relationship, even with automations in place, I still put a human on the, on the exchange board, right? And making sure that a human is looking at it and then passing it on to me so that that relationship can be nurtured, because they're not just another customer. They're now special.
I love that. Is there something that you can think of, like across the board in the business world, that Like, is there something you can look for in a company when you're trying to decide, like, okay, I have 10 sales strategists in front of me. Is there something in particular that you could, like, if you were to look at them, you'd see, oh, I can only talk to 3. These are the ones I'm going to pick. Like, is there something like extra special that you can pick out of a crowd?
Well, for me, yeah, because I'm a human and I want to look for other people that have the same values as me. So I think that's really what buyers are doing, is they're looking for companies they want to purchase from that have the same values, morals, values, whatever that might be. So Nordstrom is a great example, and I've learned a ton. I mean, like, their book is probably from 1978, but they started as a family business. And if you've ever shopped at Nordstrom, you could return something from 25 years ago.
Wow.
There's a 0 questions asked return policy. And when you buy something from the store, you can have it brought out to your car, even before COVID. You get champagne when you try on clothes. I mean, it's just these little touches. They also have commissioned salespeople, which a lot of retail stores don't anymore. But guess what? If you're working for extra money, you're going to get extra attention. So will you possibly pay $35 for a scarf that you might be able to get, for $5 on the streets of New York? Maybe. Or $135? Maybe. But what are you actually paying for is the experience, right? So I do love Target. I do. But I also love Nordstrom. And it's because of the customer experience there.
Ooh, I love that. I was talking to someone recently that said they would have a sales associate from Nordstrom call her or email her and say, hey, we have this new sale, and I know that you really love this, and you were interested in it last time. It's on sale now. Can you come in, tomorrow at 4:00 and try it on? I'll hold it to the side for you.
Exactly.
And that's that. And when you said that reminded me of that. Like, oh, that's that extra little, like she feels exclusive and cared for and loved on.
Right.
And it's really, I think you really hit on something there. Like, that's something really for all of us business owners to think about, because no matter what we're doing, there's probably someone else doing it, or maybe a lot of people doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But what's that extra special thing? And then how do you make that, how do you get that exclusive feel without throwing it in their faces?
Totally. So what the company believes in, and then how they treat you once you get there. I mean, I have friends that won't shop at Walmart because they don't agree with their employee policies. We vote with our dollars. So we vote on everything, what we believe in, what we see. I have friends that they have millions of dollars. They choose to buy Subaru because they believe in Subaru's mission. They believe in Subaru's vision. Friends, clients that won't buy from certain companies and will buy from certain companies based on, if all things are equal, if you got 12 sales strategists, what makes one different than another? Moral alignment and how you treat me.
Ooh, that's so good. Ooh, I love it. Okay, so we've covered a lot as far as your business structure and what makes you different. And I really want to dive into a little bit more about how you personally support your personal and professional development.
Yes.
So are there certain books you read, certain practices you do? Like, what do you do to manage you? Beyond business? Okay.
A lot. And you know what? It's just to give you an analogy, or just kind of some Chris Helmsworth, right? We know who he is. He's like, sexy man, big, really fit, right?
Yes, I do.
Exactly. We all do. On a daily basis, he has no less than 12 people making sure he eats, sleeps, eats the right thing, exercises, hair, physicality, marketing, interviews. No less than 12 handlers on a daily basis in his house.
Wow.
Just to give you an idea, that's one person. So you cannot invest too strongly in personal development. So the mind, the body, the spirit, however you want to look at it, church, vegetables, sleep, good pillow. I mean, whether it's a good pillow or a good pillowcase, totally bought that on my Instagram newsfeed. But for me specifically, I have an energy coach. I have a mindset coach. I work with an actual business coach. So personal and professional development is constant. Physical health, mental health, professional health. It's a muscle. We can't just do it once. It's ongoing. And I've been doing it since the 90s, because that is when I started to excel in business. So, back in the 90s, it's the same as if nothing's really changed. So you say for yourself to keep doing it. we might not have called it the bulletproof diet back then. Maybe we called it, there was some new vitamins. Like, you got to have these vitamins because you got to be strong and you have to be mentally clear. But the message is the same. Take care of yourself because you take care of everybody else. Right? Put on your own oxygen mask first, because your family, your business, your neighbors, your parents, they count on you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so thinking about someone who has either started a business and they're in a place where they're ready to really take it to the next level and stop playing small.
Yeah.
And also, for a mom who is thinking about joining the online world and is really trying to make that leap, do you have a book or two or something that you would recommend? Like, okay, this is where you should start, because everyone wants a recommendation. No one knows where to start. There's a million gurus out there. So for you specifically, like, we've all just heard like the amazing things you've done and that you take care of yourself and everyone else fully. So what books would you recommend?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, of course, it begs another question. It's like, well, where are they at? So I guess specifically, if they want to learn about sales, Daniel Pink is great. To Sell is Human. So if they want to start with a book until mine comes out, I would recommend his.
Yeah.
But I want to say, like, it depends on where you're at. I grew up, my parents are in real estate. So I grew up with like Tony Robbins on the radio or, in the cassette tape deck while we were all doing calisthenics, because that's what you called burpees back then. We were all working out our body and our mind at the same time. If you go to my parents' house today, still, you'll see like the newest book, like Grit or whatever. I know it's like the newest book will launch. I mean, like, my parents know just as much about the online and business guru space as I do, even though we don't work together. So I guess I really have to thank my family for introducing me to the fact that there's always a need for it. But the books, I would say, it depends on where you're at. I'm a sucker for old school, like Ziglar. He's can't go wrong with anything by Zig Ziglar. Can't go wrong with anything by Brian Tracy. Those are great books about leadership, mindset, and just how to treat people, like how to make friends and influence people. Like, that is a classic. Can't go wrong.
I think that's awesome. And I think that's something that I really cling to as far as things I've learned from you, is that it doesn't matter if you have everything on the back end, all the processes, everything set up perfectly if you're not selling anything. So if you don't, you can have the best service, the best product, but if you don't know how to talk about it and sell it to people and really get it out there, you're not gonna be successful. You have to know how to get it out there. And that's one of the reasons I came to you. I knew I had something amazing to share. And that's ultimately, I think, one of the big things too, is one of the first things I heard you say was how to sell without feeling slimy, sleazy, fake used car salesman type, and that's something I think as women we really relate to, because we've been the target of people like that, and we don't want to be like that, and we don't want to make anyone else feel like that. So I think that's really, really valuable. So if someone wanted to come and find you in the online space, do you have a certain place that you hang out?
Well, yes. So I mean, I would always, regardless of when I meet someone, I would send them to my website, because that is the core place that you'll find anything that I think is vital to helping them with their business and sales. But I personally hang out in my free Facebook group. I just love that place. I love my free Facebook group, but going to my website will get you there. So it's just my name, ReneeHribar.com.
Awesome. I will definitely share that in the show notes. And when someone goes to your website, what are they going to find?
My website's very structured. It's very like, listen to this video, click this button. And that button takes them to watch some free training and then invites them to the group. And then it gets them on my email list, because I'm very strong with connecting with people, not only online, but in email.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. I am so excited that you shared all of this with the audience. I know that they're going to absolutely just love it and soak it up and come find you online. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you so much for listening in. I am trying to reach as many moms as I can to help support and empower them in their journey. So if you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would leave a 5-star review on my Apple podcast page. I know as busy women, entrepreneurs, and moms, our time is extremely limited and valuable. So to sweeten the deal, I am buying the next 10 5-star reviewers their next beverage at Starbucks. Instructions are in the show notes, and I am so grateful for you. I love supporting moms, and I love moms supporting moms. See you next time.